Good morning. Our hand today is going to be 5-4 hearts. This is an entirely limped pot. Under the gun limps, I fold, and I'm just going to show like my EP2 range. Um, this is one where if the table's playing appropriately, then I could raise it. When you look at the EP ISO raise, that's what it looks like. This is like the always ISO versus sometimes ISO. So you can see we're generally still tight in the early position. Um, Even mid position, you've got limpers. You're not going to go too crazy. It's really the cutoff on the buttons when I would start to ISO raise hand like 5-4. In any case, this guy limps. We get this guy limps. He's a short stack. You can see he started with 8 big blinds. That could affect ranges and so forth. Folds to the cutoff who calls, and then the big blind calls. So I already have the big blind. He could have any cards. I'm gonna assume he would have 3-bet queens plus ace king. So starting with villain 6, I'm putting him up. We've got 29-19. We've got 53 hands. He hasn't played in early position, but for the most part, when he's played, he's been raising. When we look at limp with limp first in stat was 0, right? So this will be the first time that he's limped at all. We don't really have a whole lot of notes. We don't have any notes on him limping at all. We've got 3-bet range, 4-bet range, and so forth. I look at 29-19-0 to say that I think he would probably be raising at least 10% of hands. These are shaded out, and then maybe another 11% or so. He might just limp here. This is a 5 NL game, so you do see some crazy stuff. But I'm going to go with that range. This guy is playing 23. He's a tight player. I think we've played against this guy before. I've got notes that he might be turn C bet honest. We do have limp and call to raise with like 2s to 9s, ace queen, ace 10 suited. I mean, he's got a lot of hands that he will limp. He have a limp re-raise. So this one, I just kind of said I kind of think he would raise those hands, and maybe he will raise them some of the time, and other times he's just gonna check. But I'm gonna go with that, and then the rest of his limping, we're gonna add all of the rest of the pocket pairs because that fits in there. We're going to. Oh, he had King 9 as a limp as well, and if he had King 9, he probably had Ace 9. Looks like suited aces. Yeah, his offsuit's not that bad. So maybe suited aces. I'm gonna say that he is kind of out of position. So we're only gonna go with 15% here. He'll raise those. This guy, not many hands, 10-4, and you can see he really hasn't played a whole lot. Played 5 out of 49 hands, that's it. Raise first in, 1 out of 23. Limp first in, 3 out of 23. We don't have any 3-bet on him. We just have called 2 bets from blinds. So I'm doing something like this. I am going to give him the rest of the pocket pairs, since a lot of people tend to call pocket pairs hoping to hit trips. And I'm going to actually shrink it up and say I think these hands would be his raising range, his isolating range. But again, you never know. This is we're going to give him all of those. Now we'll take those out. That's 14.5. This is 5-0. All right, so then big blind, we already said he is basically all the cards. I'm going to say him queens plus ace king is going to at least 3-bet, and it's probably way too wide, but or way too narrow of a 3-betting range. All right, so king 7-3, rainbow. This guy leads, and it's interesting lead. The question is, what's he going to lead with? I don't think he would lead with like any big hand, like sets 2 pair. I don't think he would lead with like a top pair good kicker. We'll do 50% for the king 10. But I think these other kings are reasonable for him to bet to kind of see if his kicker is good. I think he would do the same thing with these middle pairs and the bottom pairs just to see how good am I. Maybe not even all the bottom pairs. With a 3, I do think 7. I think 7 is a strong hand. I think 4, 5, 6 would be a strong candidate. Not so much with the 3s. Now with a king out there, but we'll include it. We'll include the 2s too. Um, I don't think gut shots. I don't think that's typical for the leads. So I think that's going to be his lead. Villain 6 calls, and he's the only one that calls. So let's close him out. Let's close him out. Okay, so he calls. I think in this case, the set's probably just going to call. Top pair's probably, and it's because the bet size is 1. It bet basically less than 25%. Top pair probably just calls. Don't see a whole lot of aggression. I mean, I think his flop is really. He bets when check 2. I think that's reasonable. So, yeah, I don't think he's necessarily going to 3-bet here. Or raise here with a top pair hand. He has a good top pair hand. I think he's going to call. I think middle pair is probably going to call. I think these 5s and 6s are going to call. Maybe even the ace 3 is going to call since he has the ace kicker. I think gut shot maybe would call. And I think we'll just go with that. So we get 2 callers, and then turns the 8. And now villain 5 bets 1 again, and that's starting to make me think maybe my flop range is bad. Maybe he's just doing this with everything. He's gonna bet 1, and hope everyone folds. And I've seen that a lot with overcards. We'll just keep all of the weak pair, basically 100% of his hands. And then villain calls again. So that 1 bet, he's calling with all top pair. He's got his draws that he's calling with. I think the weak pair now for 1 bet probably just gives up. And I do see it. You bet 1, and then they fold, or they bet 1 on the flop, they fold 1 on the flop and the turn, they fold, or they do 3 barrels with 1 bet, and you get a guy that calls, and then folds on the river. So you do see some of that. 6 diamonds comes out. He bets 1 again, and here it is. It's just this could be like way too narrow of a range. I'm giving him credit for at least a 1 pair hand at this point. I can't see. I should go back to. We're gonna go back to the turn. Like I don't see set or 2 pair betting that size. So we're gonna narrow that at least, and then so is it 6 of diamonds, and then same thing with that bet size. I can't imagine a set is going to do that. Top pair still kind of weak. 2 pair would also bet larger. Top pair, I mean, he's got a 10 kicker. You think he might go a little bit higher, but once the guy's been calling, I think he's going to be aware that, well, maybe he has a king. So I'm just going to keep with that. He bet. Other guy calls again. So I think top pair plus is what he's having. They show it. So he actually shows king 5. So that was a top pair hand. King 5's in his range. So that's interesting. Ace 7. He did call with that middle pair. I kind of assumed that he would not like call with the middle pair at this point. Just say, you know what, 3 times I'm just gonna fold. but it's good to know that. So this is, let's get this in here. Let's take some notes. So we add pre-flop. He check 3 limpers and big blind with king spade 5 of diamonds, and then he's out of position 4-way. You bet 1 big blind, bet one big blind, bet 1 big blind. All right, king of clubs, 7 of diamonds, 3 of hearts, 8 of clubs, 6 of diamonds. All right, we got that guy. Actually, how about this? I don't remember if I copied that, but he LFI limp first in under the gun with a7 of clubs. He is second in 4-way, and then he called 1 big blind. Let's see here. There we go. Call 1 big blind. Call 1 big blind. Call 1 big blind. All right. So we've got our notes. So I don't like how any of them played. Can't really fault big blind for checking pre-flop. I mean, give him credit for that. I don't like the limp first in a7. A7's a hand that probably could be folded. Probably should be folded, at least versus GTO ranges. We could look at, he is under the gun. You're looking at something like that for under the gun. A7 is just, even if you flop top pair, you've got kicker problems. If you flop second, if you flop the middle pair with the 7, I mean, there's any cards 8 to a king could beat you. So you're really just looking at, maybe 2 pair hoping or flush draw. So I don't like his limp first in. If he wanted to play it, I think he should have raised it, and I think you're going to get, a different group of people playing, or narrow field, so it's heads up, and then you could see bet this board with your second pair backdoor flush draw, and you'll probably pick it up. This guy, again, big blind, he gets to see a flop. He leads for 1 big blind. I don't like that lead at all. I mean, it really is a donk bet. It's not technically a donk because it was a limped pot, but I mean, a lead like that, really, from what I could see at these low limits, they really do look like they are a vulnerable hand. Maybe a top pair with a weaker kicker, or maybe a second or third pair. They're betting leading out like this to see if their hand is good. If they get called, they basically shut down at that point. So my initial read was exactly what he had, was a top pair weak kicker. But then when you bet the 1 big blind again on the turn, I start having flags go up, because I do see some players that is their game plan. They're just always going to bet 1 big blind, and they'll only increase the size when they have a really solid hand. And my guess is they don't win. It's hard to win a game. It's hard to win this game by betting that way, because you're just constantly betting 1. Yes, you will pick up small pots. You'll occasionally catch people that call down with weaker hands, but for the most part, you're going to have people that will challenge you. So he bets. What happens if he raised the turn? Is king 5 really going to call? Yeah, probably he'll call, and then he'll probably check to him. And if he leads out again, it's going to be hard, especially with 6. It's going to be hard for him to call, because at this point the raises usually are top pair really good kicker or better. So you're looking at 2 pair plus. So overall, I'm not thrilled with any of their play. We did get the hands, minus this guy. I kind of thought he would have just folded that last pair, but again, the one big blind bet is can throw people off. So hopefully you enjoy this hand. We're going to try to do this again tomorrow, which is the 4th of July. So look tomorrow for another.